Hi friends, my name is Rebecca and welcome back to my channel. It's been quite a long time since I've last uploaded, so let's get right into it. I'm happy to report that Florian and I have survived our first North Carolina summer, and it'll be really interesting to see how we fare in our first winter. Everything here is so different from California, but thankfully Florian was built for cold weather, so I think he'll definitely cope with it better than me. I'm happy to report his training has been going very well. At this point, he's had multiple different riders on him, and he's taken each and every one of them like an old pro. Right now, his primary focus is understanding and responding to leg and mouth pressure. He does fairly well with the leg pressure, but still needs a little bit more work when it comes to the bit. We've recently switched out his egg butt snaffle to a D-ring snaffle, and he seems to be responding to it much better. I admit I still know very little when it comes to bits, so I'm thankful to have a trainer who can really explain and teach these things to me along the way. One of the things I love the most is how you can actively see it in his eyes and body language when he's trying to figure out what's being asked of him. He still makes a lot of mistakes, and I'm learning that even walking in a straight line for a young horse can be a challenge. But his mistakes are not made out of laziness or aggression, he just doesn't know it all yet. And at times it's like you can see the gears turning in his head as he works through the problem. I feel like such a proud mama when I watch him learning, and sometimes it takes all of my effort not to scream at the top of my lungs that I have the smartest horse in the entire world. That all being said, there is something a little less positive that I wanted to talk about in this video. As I've tried to make it clear, I am not actually the one training Florian. I am in no way equipped to do so, and I'm learning just as much as he is during this journey. However, I love watching horse training videos, and usually these types of videos are geared towards Mustang enthusiasts. While I don't see myself ever getting a Mustang, I've certainly learned a lot about the process, and I am in awe of the transformations these wild horses go through in just a few short months. However, sometimes I think these transformations can give me a skewed sense of where I should be or need to be when it comes to my own horse. And I think because I'm not the one actively training him, it can be even harder for me to get a real sense of the actual progress he's made. I'll admit there are times when these thoughts really get to me, because even though we still have so much time together, there's like this unspoken pressure that everything should be faster. Of course, I know this pressure is all internal, no one has actually said anything of the sort to me, but that doesn't make it any easier to cope with. Still, it's something I'm trying to be aware of, and I think it's good to talk about because I know I'm not the only one who feels this way. The horse world can sometimes make it seem like you have to be absolutely perfect at everything, and that's just not reality. And in the end, I don't want to waste this time with Florian worrying about some non-existent deadline. Sure, that's a lot easier said than done, and it's not like I've completely gotten over it, but I think being aware of these negative feelings is a good first step. Anyway, let's wrap up this video with something much happier. I'm really excited to share an accomplishment that is absolutely huge for me. Although I've owned Florian since last Christmas, I've never actually sat on him before. But that all changed a few weeks ago. In preparation for a saddle fitting, I knew I would have to get on Florian, at least for a short while. So my trainer and I scheduled a session solely for the task of me getting on him. Even though I've been on a fair number of horses before, getting on Florian was a completely different ordeal. I knew it would be special and I knew I would be nervous, but I vastly underestimated just how anxious I actually was. Brushing and tacking him up was no problem, but once it came to actually swinging my leg over, I froze. I could literally feel my heart racing, my breathing going short, and everything going wobbly. For the time being, Florian is being trained in a stirrupless saddle, and the lack of stirrups made the task of mounting him that much more terrifying. I probably spent no less than a good 15 minutes standing on top of that mounting block and completely psyching myself out. Every time I try to move my leg, it's like something inside of me snatches me back, and I fully admit I was super close to crying. I can't really explain what exactly was so terrifying, since I've seen Florian with riders before, and it's not like we were about to go do something crazy. But in that moment, all I could think about was every worst case scenario, and all my doubts and imposter syndrome had me in a chokehold. But thankfully, I have a wonderful trainer who talked me through it and let me take as much time as I needed as my amazing husband cheered me on from the sidelines. And Florian stood for me, waiting patiently as I gathered up the courage to do what needed to be done. And in the end, with one final push, I swung myself up and over, and just like that, I was riding my horse. Now, don't get me wrong, it was a very short and easy ride, and I pretty much held on for dear life the entire time. Florian, of course, was perfect, and after a couple of minutes, I was safely dismounted and on the ground again. And even though this might not be everyone's ideal method of getting on a horse for the first time, looking back, I'm still incredibly happy because I pushed myself through and overcame that fear. This is a huge first step for me, and I know I'm going to be getting on him again countless times after this. So that's where Florian and I are currently in our training journey together. I know I've continued to slack off in terms of updating on this channel, but I really hope that will change soon. The house my husband and I are building will be completed sometime next month, and I think having a permanent place to call home will make a big difference. Florian will continue to be boarded for the foreseeable future, but there is still so much to prepare on our property for someday bringing him home with us. That's all for today. Thank you so much to any and all of you who are watching, and I hope to get some more updates posted for you soon. Until then, stay safe and happy writing. Bye!